So we're going to start from where we left off, yani repeating that last paragraph. The author said, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him. Asl, that's the original text. Wahuwa darban, wahuwa and it, the ism, darban, the ism is two types, two darbs. Darb has many meanings in Arabic language. Mu'rabun, the mu'rab, the one that has a variable ending, like he's going to say, وهو ما يتغير آخره بسبب العوامل الداخلة عليه. It is that which its ending changes because of the agents or the governing words that come upon it. We're going to call it mu'rab, and it doesn't have any equivalent in English. The most you can compare it to in English that I can see is pronouns. We'll come to that, inshallah ta'ala. Kazaid, like Zaid, that's a man's name. So you say Zaydun, Zaydin, Zaydan, depending on what influences the word. Wa mabni, the other type is mabni. So he's saying, وَهُوَ ضَرْبَانْ مُعْرَبٌ وَمَبْنِي. And he interjected the definition of mu'rab between the two conjuncts. وَهُوَ ضَرْبَانْ مُعْرَبٌ وَهُوَ مَا يَتَغَيَّرُ آخِرُهُ بِسَبَبِ الْعَوَامِلِ الدَّاخِلَةِ عَلَيْهِ كَزَيْدٍ وَمَبْنِي وَهُوَ بِخِلَافِهِ. Mabni is what's different from mu'rab. وَهُوَ بِخِلَافِهِ وَهُوَ بِخِلَافِهِ. Here's a question for you. This damir here, this ha, بِخِلَافِهِ, goes back to what? What's the marji' for that damir? بِخِلَافِهِ. Correct. Mu'rab. وهو بخلاف المعرب. كهؤلاء كهؤلاء في لزوم الكسر. Like هؤلاء in sticking to a kasra or kasr. When they talk about the bina, they say dam, fath, and kasr. And when they talk about i'rab, they say damma, kasra, fatha. Usually. وكذلك حذامي. Hadami, that's a woman's name. It keeps the kasra. So you say, well, he's going to explain. وأمسي, that's the name of the previous day. Sticks to a kasra. في لغة الحجازيين, according to the dialect of the Hijazis. وكأحد عشر, and like أحد عشر, this constructed or compound number. وأخواته, and its sisters. في لزوم الفتح, in sticking to a fatah. In this case, fatah has on both pieces. أحد عشر. وكقبل وبعد وأخواتهما, and like qabl and ba'd and their sisters. Qabl wa ba'd are ظروف. ظروف. That's plural of ظرف. ظرف means envelope or container. So there's an envelope for time and an envelope for place. Or the envelope of time and the envelope of place. Or the container of time and the container of place. ظرف. Yani, we can call it here prepositional nominal if you want. Prepositional nominal. We'll come back to it, inshallah. Those words, we'll come back to them. So, كقبل وبعد, كقبل وبعد, like couple, it means before. That could be time or place or status. وبعد, after time or place or status. وأخواتهما, and their sisters. في لزوم الضم, في لزوم الضم, in adhering to a dhamma or a dam, in adhering to a dam. إذا حذف المضاف إليه ونوي معناه. When are those going to be mabniyun ala dam? And we're going to use cemented for mabni. Here, there's another usage for the word mabni. It's going to come, inshallah, in its place. When we get to it there, we'll use the word in Arabic mabni, but we'll translate it differently, inshallah. So here, mabni is going to be cemented. So it's just fixed like that. When are these prepositional nominals going to be cemented with a dhamma? Or when's that dhamma or dham going to be cemented? إذا حذف المضاف إليه, when it's part of an annexation, an idafa, when it's part of a genitive construction or what they would call possessive construction. An idafa, you put two words together like they are one word, so it became a type of compound. So when these words are the first part of such a compound, a genitive construction, and then you omit the second word, but you still intend it, then it becomes, that dam is cemented there. We talked about it last week, and the author's going to come to talk about it, so I'm not going to go further here. وكمن وكم في لزوم السكون. And like men and kam in sticking to a sukoon. وهو أصل البناء. And sukoon is the origin of bina. Should have asked you what does the damir go back to first. وهو, what's huwa? The sukoon. وهو أصل البناء. The sukoon is the origin of bina. That means sukoon is the original sign of bina. And then if a word is mabni with a haraka or something else, it's going to be for a reason. So the origin is to be mabni on a sukoon. And then it might be mabni with a fatih, or a kasr, or a dam, or other than that. Whenever it's mabni on other than a sukoon, then it's going to be for a reason. But a lot of books don't mention the reason. They're just going to say mabni ala kasr, mabni ala dam, and that's it. The reason is usually going back to the structure of the word. Yani, I don't really have any details there. So it will be for a reason. In some books, they'll tell you it's mabni for a dam, with a dam, because, etc. Why is the origin of bina sukoon? The author is going to talk about that. Ash-sharh, the explanation. He says, لما فرغت من تعريف الاسم, when it was that I finished defining the nominal, the name, بذكر شيء من علاماته, by mentioning some of its signs, he said, فرغت من تعريف الاسم, I got out of defining the nominal, بذكر شيء من علاماته, by mentioning some of its signs, by mentioning a few of its signs. Maybe he means by shay here a little bit. By mentioning a few of its signs, what did he say here? He said, what that means is, he's saying, I indirectly defined it. He's saying, I defined it by showing its signs. It's more like he identified it. He identified the nominal. Sometimes the scholars would suffice with an example instead of a definition. Here he says, I defined it by its signs. And usually when we say define, we mean certain parameters that will show exactly what the definition is. So he said, لما فرغت من تعريف الاسم بذكر شيء من علاماته, once I got out of, finished defining the nominal by mentioning something of its signs, عقبت ذلك ببيان انقسامه إلى معرب ومبني, I then followed that up with clarification of its division or categorization into mu'rab and mabni. He said, I then followed that up with clarifying the nominal's categorization into what has a variable ending and what has a static ending. What is cemented. وقدمت المعرب لأنه الأصل, and I advanced the mu'rab, the one with variable ending. I gave it preference and mentioned it first because that's the origin. That's the origin of the nominal. That means the vast majority of nominals, their case is that their endings are variable. وأخرت المبني لأنه الفرع, and I delayed the static ending because that's the derivative case, not the original case. Why is that the origin of nominals to be is to show the role that the word is playing in the sentence. And a nominal can play variable roles. Yani, a word with its own meaning can be put into various positions into the sentence. So basically, a sentence, it does some things. It needs words, and it will process these words, put them in different ways, and then give you a meaning. So one word can play so many different roles in a sentence, like being the subject of the sentence or being the object of the sentence. So you could say, Zayd hit Amr, daraba Zaydun Amran. So Zayd is the doer of the hit. Zayd has its own meaning, and being a doer has a meaning. Being a doer has a meaning. That's a sentential meaning. That meaning is achieved by the sentence. Yani, the sentence is like a combiner robot. You can put the arms and the legs and everything, and those are the words. You put them in different positions. So you can say, Amrun daraba Zaydan. Amr hit Zayd. Now Zayd is receiver. It's still Zayd. The meaning of Zayd doesn't change, but the meaning of being a receiver changes. So the word ending reflects that change in meaning. It reflects the position in the sentence. If you understand the meanings that the sentence carries, the general broad meanings that the sentence carries, then you put those words into those slots there. So that's why, because the nominals, the vast majority of them can accept these various positions in the sentence, then they need something that clarifies what role they're playing in the sentence. Especially since Arabic is not bound to word order. This i'rab enables the Arabic sentence to be extremely versatile. If you don't have a sign like this to show what's going on in the sentence, then you need something else to show what's going on in the sentence. When you remove the signs from the words to show what the word's doing in the sentence, then you can only rely on the sentence. After that, that means you're going to have more dependency on the word order. So in English, if I say Zayd hit Sam, Sam hit Zayd, then there's no way to mix up who's the hitter and who's the receiver. Whereas in Arabic, as you know, I could say daraba Zaydun Amran, and I could say Amran daraba Zaydun. Either way, Zayd is the doer. So that's why most nominals are mu'rab. And some nominals are mabni. For a reason, they have static ending. Inshallah, we'll see. He says, وَذَكَرْتُ أَنَّ الْمُعْرَبِ هُوَ مَا يَتَغَيَّرُ آخِرُهُ بِسَبَبِ مَا يَدْخُلُ عَلَيْهِ مِنَ الْعَوَامِلِ. And I mentioned that the one with a shiftable ending is what changes, its ending changes, or I mentioned that the mu'rab is that which its ending changes because of the governing words or the agents that influence the word. كزيد تقول جاءني زيد ورأيت زيدا ومررت بزيد. Like Zayd, its ending changes as you heard me say it now. Yeah. You say جاء زيد, Zaydun came, Zaydun because he's the one who came, the doer. رأيت زيدا, I saw Zaydan, since he's receiver. Marartu bi Zaydin, I passed by Zaydin. Object of prepositional particle. Object of prepositional particle. اسم مجرور. ألا ترى أن آخر زيد تغير بالضمة والفتحة والكسرة? Don't you see that Zayd, the end of the word Zayd, changed from a dhamma to a fatha to a kasra بسبب ما دخل عليه من جاءني ورأيت والباء, because of what came upon it, what influenced it, whether it was جاءني, came, and رأيت, I saw, and or the ba, by. فلو كان التغير في غير الآخر, so if the change is in other than the end, لم يكن إعرابا, then that wouldn't be إعراب. So when we say other than the end, what does that mean? Or what does that include? When we say other than the end, what does that include? What does other than the end include? Give me one answer. Give me your complete answer in one sentence. What does other than the end include? The beginning and the middle. هكذا. So he could have said, had the change been in the beginning or the middle? He said, if the change were in other than the end, لم يكن إعرابا. That's not إعراب. كقولك في فلس إذا صغرته فليس. Like, if you took the word فلس and then you miniaturized it according to the rules of Arabic, of miniaturizing, that's Arabic convention. Then you miniaturized it, and so you said fulais, fels means change, like money that's left, few coins, for example, some change. Pennies and nickels and things and dimes, that's fels. Not gold and silver, though. So you take the word fels and then you miniaturize it to the word fulais. Now it means small fels, miniature or little fels. Fulais. Then that's not i'rab. This change is not i'rab. وَإِذَا كَسَرْتَهُ, likewise, if you break the word fels to achieve a plural, if you break the word fels to achieve a plural, and then you say aflus or fulus, then that's not i'rab, and other than the end. Here, fels, fulais was in the middle. And also we changed the dhamma on the fa. Fulais. And fels, aflus. There's a change in the beginning. Aflus. So that's not i'rab. ولكنه وكذا لو كان التغير في الآخر ولكنه ليس بسبب العوامل. Also, if there was a change in the end, but it's not due to the influence of the governing word or any governing word, is not due to the influence of a governing word. That change is not due to the influence of a governing word. كقولك جلست حيث جلس زيد. Like if you were to say جلست حيث جلس زيد, I sat حيث where Zayd sat. Now, first here, jalastu, I sat, haythu, where. Now, if you understand the sentence here, if you understand the sentence, then you should understand that this word jalastu is influencing this word haythu. Haythu means where. Jalastu haythu. I sat where? Jalasa Zaid, where Zaid sat. This dhamma here on haythu is not because of jalastu, but the word haythu is influenced by jalastu. It is influenced by jalastu. فإنه يجوز أن تقول حيث بالضم وحيث بالفتح وحيث بالكسر. It's valid to say حيث with the dam, like it's there already, or حيث with the fath, or حيثي with the kasra. All of those are valid lughat, variants of the word. إلا أن هذه الأوجه الثلاثة ليست بسبب العوامل. However, these three ways are not by the influence of any governing words. Whichever way you chose to say that, it's not going to be because of the influence of a governing word. ألا ترى أن العامل واحد وهو جلس. Don't you see that in all cases it's the same governing word, jalasa? Whether you said jalastu haythu, jalastu haythi, jalastu haytha, it's the same governing word, so you should have the same result. وقد وجد معه تغير المذكور. Despite that, you see this change in pronunciation. This is not i'rab. Any question?
نعم.
نعم.
لماذا يجوز لي حيث لكلمة حيث أن نقول حيث وحيث وحيث
أن نقول
أن نقول نعم أن نقول بالفتحة والضمة والكسرة على آخره.
هذه لغات. These are variants of the word. قلته هكذا أو قلتها هكذا أو قلتها هكذا كما شئت. Whichever way you want to say it, you can say it. Those are variants, different variants of the word.
بارك الله فيكم.
آمين وفيك. It's like, you want to say Caribbean or you want to say Caribbean, whichever one you want. He says, وَلَمَّا فَرَغْتُ مِنْ ذِكْرِ الْمُعْرَضِ ذَكَرْتُ الْمَبْنِي. Then, when I finished mentioning the mu'rab, I mentioned the mabni. وَأَنَّهُ الَّذِي يَلْزَمُ طَرِيقَةً وَاحِدَةً. And that the mabni is that which adheres to one way. So even in the case we just finished talking about, haythu, haytha, haythi, it's mabni. It adheres to one way. Is that clear? How that adheres to one way? Because each one is its own variant. It's not one way or the other because of something that came upon it and influenced it. If you want, you just say haytha and that's it. So it doesn't change. It's mabni. Or you say haythu if you want, and then that's it. Or you say haythi if you want, and that's it. So that adheres to one way. ولا يتغير آخره بسبب ما يدخل عليه. And its ending does not change because of what comes upon it, because of what influences it. ثم قسمته إلى أربعة أقسام. Then I divided it to 4 categories. So what's the dhamir go back to here? قسمته. What's it? ثم قسمته. Then I divided it or categorized it. The mabni هكذا. ثم قسمته أي قسمت المبني إلى 4 أقسام. Then I divided it into 4 categories. مبني على الكسر ومبني على الفتح ومبني على الضم ومبني على السكون. يعني cemented with a kasr, or cemented with a fatih, or cemented with a dam, or cemented with a sukoon. And he did not say, I exactified its limit. Like when he talked about how many types of words there are, he said, I clarified inhisarahu. I clarified the limit of the word being divided into 3. Al-inhisar. Here he didn't claim inhisar about the mabni. Rather, here he said a fact. That's correct statement. It's not wrong statement. He said, then I divided it into 4 divisions. Yes, that's true. That's what he did. He said, مبني على الكسر ومبني على الفتح ومبني على الضم ومبني على السكون. Yes. So that's correct. There's nothing incorrect there. And he didn't claim that there's nothing else. There's no other way to be mabni. ثم قسمت المبني على الكسر إلى قسمين. He said, then that which is cemented with a kasrah or with a kasr, I divided it into 2 categories. So now I need to be mindful to use without ta when we're talking about bina. Kasr, dam, fatih, that's bina. Kasrah, damma, fathah, that's i'rab. So he said, the mabni is what has a static ending, doesn't change. I categorized mabni into 4 divisions, with kasr, with fatih, with dam, and with sukoon. I took the kasr and I broke that into 2 cases, 2 divisions. قسم متفق عليه. One of them is something that's an issue of agreement. Agreement among who? He's going to tell you. وهو هؤلاء, which is هؤلاء. فإن جميع العرب يكسرون آخره في جميع الأحوال. For indeed, all Arabs give this word a kasrah in all cases. Which Arabs are we talking about here? When he says all Arabs, which Arabs are we talking about here? All of them? He said all of them. I didn't answer my own question. The old Arabs, yes. All of the old Arabs. Or ancient, if you want. The ancient Arabs. So that means through all of their dialects and all of their variants, they said هؤلاء, the kasrah there. وقسم مختلف فيه, and one division that they differed about. Very nice division there. This is a review for me, by the way. Subhanallah. I'm not recalling now someone who divided those like that. Someone else, yani. And the division that they differed about. That means their dialects varied. وهو حذامي وقطامي ونحوهما من الأعلام المؤنثة الآتية على وزن فعالي. And that's those names, those female names, like Hadami, that's a woman's name, and Qatami, that's a woman's name. And such names that have this pattern, the pattern is Fa'ali, Hadami, Qatami. So they differed about those female names that have the pattern of Fa'ali. Yani the Arabs have some difference between them there. وأمسي إذا أردت به اليوم الذي قبل يومك. And also the word MC, they differed about it. MC, that one that if you meant by it the day before your present day. MC, when you mean by it the day before your present day. Yani yesterday. That's how he's going to say it in Arabic because he's explaining what the word means. MC, he's not going to say yesterday, which means yesterday. So he said MC, if you mean by it the day before your present day. Now he's going to unravel that. فَأَمَّا بَابُ حَذَامٍ. As for the chapter of these female names like Hadami وَنَحْوِهِ فَأَهْلُ الْحِجَازِ يَبْنُونَهُ عَلَى الْكَسْرِ مُطْلَقًا. The people of Hijaz give it a kasra, absolutely. فَيَقُولُونَ جَاءَتْنِي حَذَامِ وَرَأَيْتُ حَذَامِ وَمَرَرْتُ بِحَذَامِ. So they say, Hadami came, it's doer, but kept a kasra. And I saw Hadami, receiver, but it has kasra. And marartu bi Hadami, I passed by Hadami, object of prepositional particle. And the kasra there is not because of the prepositional particle though. وَعَلَى ذَلِكَ جَاءَ قَوْلُ الشَّاعِرِ. And this is the way the poet's lines came when he said فَلَوْلَا الْمُزْعِجَاتُ مِنَ اللَّيَالِي لَمَا تَرَكَ الْقَطَى طِيبَ الْمَنَامِ إِذَا قَالَتْ حَذَامِ فَصَدِّقُوهَا فَإِنَّ الْقَوْلَ مَا قَالَتْ حَذَامِ. Yani here, without translating all the lines here, the shahid, the reference in this line of poetry, is there Hadami. That's the shahid. Qalat Hadami. If this was mu'rab, then we'd be saying Hadamu, because it's doer, but it's not mu'rab, so that kasra is stuck there. Ma qalat Hadami. And you're going to stretch it just for the sake of the poetry. ما قالت حذامي فلولا المزعجات من الليالي لما ترك القطى طيب المنام إذا قالت حذامي فصدقوها فإن القول ما قالت حذامي. Also, if you want to be very strong in Nahu, memorize your shawahid. So this line of poetry, memorize it. All the lines that come, and all the ayat that come, and all the proverbs that come, memorize them, because those are the references. Those are the proofs, or some of them, for the cases. And also, those are going to come in the test. I'll tell you once. So one of our, for me, yani, best Nahu teachers, Ustad Majid, rahimahullah, he taught us this QaTrun-Nadaa. His tests were very tricky for me. MashaAllah. I wasn't getting the grades I wanted to get with him, and I thought I should be getting higher grades. So we studied a chapter, and then it was a test. I said, Khalas, this one, he's not going to get. I'm going to get the superb grade for this. So I studied the whole lesson, and I read 2 other books in the same chapter and compared everything there. I knew all the masail that were there. The only thing I didn't do was memorize the shawahid. I said, Khalas, he can't get me. Even if I don't memorize the shawahid, I have everything here. All he asked for was the shawahid. That's it. And I failed the test. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. He says, فَذَكَرَهَا فِي الْبَيْتِ مَرَّتَيْنِ مَكْسُورَةً. In these 2 lines of poetry, or fil bayti, in this line of poetry, he mentioned the name Hadami twice with the kasra. مع أنها فاعلة, although it's the doer in both cases. قالت حذامي. وافترقت بنو تميم فرقتين. And the people of Tamim, or the clan of Tamim, they have broken into 2 groups. Now, when you study your Nahu, obviously he's going to talk about dialects. So of all the different dialects they mention, these 2 they mention, from what I see, the most. The dialect of Hijaz and the dialect of Banu Tamim. You know who's from Banu Tamim? Anyone know someone, a bad person from Banu Tamim? Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. So there's differences between these 2 dialects, and those are mentioned in the books of Nahu a lot. So he says, وَافْتَرَقَتْ بَنُو تَمِيمٍ فِرْقَتَيْن. The clan of Tamim, they had 2 groups. فَبَعْضُهُمْ يُعْرِبُ ذَلِكَ كُلَّهُ. Some of them give all of that i'rab بِالضَّمِّ رَفْعًا وَبِالْفَتْحِ نَصْبًا وَجَرًّا. They give it a dhamma when it's in a state of rafa', and they give it a fatha if it's in a state of nasb and jar. That means it's mamnu' min as-sarf. That means they made it mamnu' min as-sarf. فيقول جاءتني حذام بالضم ورأيت حذام فتح. But that's a dhammah. It's a dhammah. He said dhamm here, because that's for i'rab right there. That's not for bina. But he said that, so I'm not objecting to him. But what I told you is what I learned, and you see it in the books. Usually they stay consistent like that. I did say usually, actually. So فيقول جاءتني حذام بالضم ورأيت حذام ومررت بحذام بالفتح. أكثرهم يفصل بين ما كان آخره راء كوباري اسم لقبيلة وحضاري اسم لكوكب وسفاري اسم لماء فيبنيه على الكسر كالحجازيين وما ليس آخره راء كحذام وقطام فيعربه إعراب ما لا ينصرف. He says most of them differentiate, in this case, between these feminine names that have the pattern of fa'ali when they end with a ra, or they don't end with a ra. They end with a ra, or they don't end with a ra. So ending with a ra is like the name Wabari. That's the name of a tribe. Or the name Habari. That's the name of a star. Or Safari. That's the name of some water. I don't know what water that is, or what he means there. So when it has a ra, most of them, they treat that word like the Hijazis do, then they make it mabni. But if it doesn't have a ra, like hadami as a meme and qatami, then they give it i'rab like mamnu' min as-sarf. They give it the i'rab of mamnu' min as-sarf. طيب. Maybe that's enough for today.